think the conference went very, very well. It really lived to our expectations, what we wanted to achieve over these past few days. The topics that have been covered and also the areas that have been explored, exactly what we intended for this conference.
Very interesting to attend, very interesting topics, and also the speakers have done their work. In fact, they've done, it's 110% of the work that they've put in. Very, what should I say? It's diligent, They've paid attention to detail and they've really gone to town with their topics.
I really enjoyed the variety of topics that were covered. Okay. And particularly insight from a broad range, not just academics, but also people who are specialists in the areas.
All right.
So I thought it was a good balance of academia and then people who work with academics or academic institutions.
I think it was eye-opening. A lot of the times we look at risk as a separate departmental function. We don't really consider how risk cuts across the whole entire organization. So I think the takeaway for me was really how it affects all of us and how we should each, within our own respective functions, take risk more seriously, think about it more deeply, and also see how the intersectionalities meet, between risks, between different functions. Because I think you'd find that if your own risk jeopardizes someone else's, so on and so forth. So it's really a cohesive approach that's required, and we should really pay attention to risk and leadership within the broader context from an institutional perspective.
I think there's two sections. One is the formal program and the second was the informal opportunities. And of course, post-COVID, we've not really had a lot of opportunities for face-to-face engagement.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciated that. I really found the networking in between the actual formal program, all the conversations we've had, those have really been fabulous. And so there's been lots of swapping of phone numbers, and I think we've had some really, really important conversations here, both in the program and more importantly around the sidebars of the conference.
Looking at the program over the last 2 days, really thought that there was thinking that went into it from a future fit risk management point of view. Univen applying their minds, thinking about the topics, showed that they really value the contribution of risk management, which is really assisting leadership in creating value in a sustainable way.
I'm so excited, first and foremost, because it's about, if there's a take home that was emphasized that I was taking for granted, is the idea that you can't actually separate risks with strategic planning, so hence strategic leadership and risk conversations, which sits very well. The second part for me was the emphasis on transdisciplinarity and connections and interconnectedness, and that when you solve one part of it or imagine one part of the risk, you must understand that it's a wicked problem, it is connected with the other risks, and therefore we need to take a collaborative effort in terms of identifying them and managing them in a way that is sustainable.
Yes, look, I'm tired of online personally, so I really enjoyed having the face-to-face opportunity. But look, it is an equitable way of ensuring access if people don't all have the time or the funding to come. I think it's great that we now have this opportunity, and it's almost like a lesson we learned during COVID, that we've developed the technology, we've developed the skills, we can do it. My personal preference is to be face-to-face. I feel like you just get so much more out of the engagements, you can talk in the breaks about the discussion when formal discussion is ended, and I think that was where we got a lot of value.
Yeah, I think probably more of an opportunity for off-the-floor engagement, maybe. I think probably more of an approach where there's more interaction between the panelists, rather on a topic base, rather than on a solving or being asked to address a particular problem area, rather than presenting almost a lecture in a way. So I think that would probably be more useful. Really a deeper debate about critical issues facing universities.
Look, I think the program was fine. I think it wasn't too much. I like the sort of plenary type where you don't have, parallel sessions with 3 people and so on. So I really like the approach. I think what I would improve is to put risk with something else, right? So instead of making it an entirely risk conference, but risk and what? Risk and financial management, risk and internationalization, risk and so on. That way you also then teach the other sectors, to appreciate risk, but then you still continue your risk conversation, but you make it more accessible. Oftentimes we can talk to ourselves in our respective disciplines, so I think it'll be a good way to get other people involved in the conversations around risk.
A more focused presentation on the future of risk management.
Okay.
To understand what are the new thought leadership ideas out there, maybe to challenge the way that academia thinks about how to teach risk management and marrying the practical application with the theoretical, let's call it, foundation of risk management. To try and marry those in a presentation, or maybe even in a couple of topics, covering that platform would be great.
Well, I think everything is fine so far. I mean, they're always going to be some run after time. I wish there's more conversations. You could say that we had a long day yesterday, and today we're barely even having sufficient time for conversation. But I guess that's part of the conferences but it's beautiful that this conference is bringing everybody together and every layer, from executive, from governance to the bottom. Maybe we should utilize it more for also embracing the student participation and the junior members of staff as a way of awareness, because I think this was a very brilliant platform for learning, co-learning with also our stakeholders. Bringing the stakeholder into the conversation was also brilliant, so maybe we could do more of that.
Our view, this conference is a yearly conference, and we are not sure as yet now when this conference will be hosted. But I can assure you that Investor Venda will be very central to the next conference, as the university that hosted this conference will sort of redefine how the conference should be like, and will be playing that particular role to the university that will be hosting the conference.
I think it will be something else. I've hardly thought of the topic that they'll be looking at or the theme.
Yes.
But if it's along these, I'm telling you, it's going to be another wow factor.